Okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Trinadapi Sunichena Taror Iva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Namaiva Kevalam Kalau Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyata Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So, perhaps one of the most important verses from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 66. Sarvadhamman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvang sarva papebhyo moksha yashyami ma shuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me, Krishna. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Do not hesitate. Do not worry. So, I have read this verse. I have preached this verse hundreds of times. But always that first line would create a question in my mind. Abandon all varieties of religion. Now, I have been reading Bhagavad Gita since 1973. And up until today, I could not give a very good katha on that first line. Abandon all varieties of religion. But when I come to Panama, I get inspiration. So, a few hours ago, Krishna, who is in your heart, is in my heart. The same Krishna. It's not a different Krishna. Your Krishna is not different than my Krishna. My Krishna is better than your Krishna. No. We all have the same Krishna. He gave me the inspiration. And I wanted to make tonight special because I'm here in Chaturmurti Loka. And I look out, I feel like I'm in a heavenly planet, seeing the nice view, the nice atmosphere, and the wonderful kirtan. And what is so amazing, now we see the young children stepping up, the next generation. Very good. Very, very good. So we should encourage these children to do more and more leading of the kirtan. So, for the past, since March of this year, pretty much exclusively, I have been preaching Mahäbhärata. First time in my life. I never read Mahäbhärata. But in March, I began. And once I started reading, now I'm addicted. Every day I have to read the Mahäbhärata. Recently, one of my students, he's been my student since around 2001. He's one of my biggest supporters. Actually, he's my second biggest monetary supporter. He said, "Oh Prabhu, don't talk Mahäbhärata. Because in Indian, people think that if you discuss Mahäbhärata, there'll be a war in the house." So I looked at him like, what? So I didn't say anything. I didn't do the class. But then later on, that same Krishna, my good friend Krishna, he gave me the answer. So I said to him, didn't you watch Mahäbhärata on TV? You didn't object to that. Why is the book bad and the movie's good, but book's bad? So, now I preach everywhere Mahäbhärata. Why? Because, like I said, I have been studying, reading Bhagavad Gita since 1973. I have been full-time preaching since 1994. And so I've done hundreds and hundreds of kathas. And when you do something for a long period of time, you get wisdom. You learn from your mistakes. It's like cooking. When you first start out cooking, that chapati doesn't come out good. But little by little by little, like we say in America, practice makes perfect. So, when you do something more and more, and little by little, Krishna shows you different insights. So for several years, I was thinking that I needed to find a way to take the concepts of Gita and Bhagavatam, which are for many people, maybe above their heads. Maybe it's too esoteric for people to grasp. Now that I read this Mahäbhärata, I find, aha, now I have different episodes which will teach very nicely the important parts of Bhagavad Gita. And this section, which is one of my favorites, will explain this thing: abandon all varieties of religion. If you're ready to proceed, please raise your hands and repeat after me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
This microphone, I brought this microphone all the way from Los Angeles, and I am giving it to Chaturmurti to be used in all the programs. So this katha is called Krishna Speaks Privately to Karna. So let me bring you to the scene previously in the Mahäbhärata. The Pandavas have spent, now let's see how many years did the Pandavas spend in the forest? 13 years. The last year was incognito. They stayed in the kingdom of Matsya, headed by the king Virat. And they all took disguised, and they had different names, disguised names. Arjuna was known as Briyanala, and Draupadi was known as Malini, and Bhima was known as Vallabha, and what was Yudhishthira known as? Kanka, right. So, after the 13 years exile, the agreement with the Kauravas was, now they would get back their kingdom, Indraprastha. That was the arrangement. Remember, after the first gambling match, finally Dhritarashtra gave everything back. And Duryodhana was again unhappy. So again, with his good buddy, not super soul, Duryodhana's super soul is Shakuni. Whenever Duryodhana has a problem, instead of contacting Krishna in the heart, no, where's Shakuni? If they had cell phones back then, he would be on the cell phone with Shakuni all the time. So again, they came up with another gambling match. And the whole arrangement was whoever lost had to go into exile for 12 years and then the 13th year be incognito. And if they were discovered, then they'd have to be in the forest for another 13 years. And of course, the gambling match was rigged. So again, they lost. But the agreement was that after the 13 years, if they weren't discovered, they would get back the half kingdom that they were given long ago, which was Indraprastha, which at first was just some forest, but by Krishna's arrangement, it became better. It became Indraprastha, it became glorious. And everybody wanted to go and live with the Pandavas. So, there was hesitancy. Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, they didn't want to give back. So Krishna was sent to Hastinapur to speak in front of all the Kuru elders. And it was very simple. Krishna said, Duryodhana, no, he put the whole thing on Dhritarashtra. He said, Dhritarashtra, you're the king. Duryodhana and his brothers, they're your sons. You just have to give the word. The whole war can be avoided. Krishna put it all on Dhritarashtra. You're the king. He's your son. Just say the word. The whole catastrophe can be avoided. But Dhritarashtra, I've analyzed this. I actually gave a lecture on this last Sunday in one Hindu temple. What was Dhritarashtra's biggest sin? Attachment. Too attached to his son. All right, everybody's attached to their son. But an evil son. Remember, when Duryodhana was born, there wasn't flower petals coming from the sky or conch shells. No. What was the music that was heard upon Duryodhana's birth? Jackasses were sounding. Fires were blazing. Winds were howling. The earth was quaking. Not auspicious. Next week, we will hear about Krishna. When he appeared, everything was nice. The Brahmins felt very peaceful. It was a nice atmosphere. Everything was nice. But when Duryodhana was born, so Vidura told his brother, this is the sign of someone who is going to be the exterminator of his race. Abandon the child immediately. After all, who's Vidura? He's Yamaraj. If anybody knows what's right and wrong, it's Vidura. Vidura told his brother, this child should be abandoned. There'll be no sin. Because you can sacrifice one member of the family to save the family. You can sacrifice one family to save a village. You can sacrifice a village to save a country. But Dhritarashtra, the attachment was right then, from the beginning. Couldn't do it. And all throughout these years, Dhritarashtra was told time and time and time again to censure Duryodhana, to stop Duryodhana with all his evil plans. But because of attachment, could never. He tried, yes. Dhritarashtra tried to tell his son what to do, but sometimes you have to give the stick. Even Mother Yashoda, when she got angry with Krishna, she didn't go, "Oh Krishna, could you be a good..." No, she showed the stick. Then Krishna, ooh, Damodar Leela. So sometimes as parents, sometimes, you have to show that you mean business. I am the mother, I am the father. But why do I have to do what you say? Because I'm your father. That's why. No more discussion. Or mothers, same way. Sometimes wives have to tell the husbands, "You have to do this." And the husband will say, "Why?" "Because I'm your wife, that's why." And am I right, ladies? No? Men, you won. They don't agree. Men, if you tell your wives, "You have to do this," and they say, "Why?" You say, "Because I'm your husband." What do you say? "No, you're the same as them." All right.
It doesn't work when we say we're the husband, but it does work when they say because I'm
They
the wife.
didn't agree.
We agree to that.
So Krishna spoke at that assembly. He just said, "We want peace. I want peace. Peace is there. Just give Yudhishthir his half of the kingdom. You'll have peace." But Duryodhana, what did he say? "I'll not give" what? "Even the amount of land on the point of a needle?" Just see. So Dhritarashtra's sin was his attachment. Duryodhana, you can't count how many sins. So many. Actually, it says in the Mahäbhärata, Duryodhana is the personification of the age of Kali. The age of Kali is quarrel and hypocrisy. So, they did not agree to Krishna's peace plan. So, Krishna was returning to the Pandavas who were staying in Virat. But before Krishna left, he went to see Karna. Now, just before Krishna met Karna, Karna met somebody else. Somebody approached him. Karna would always worship the sun early morning. He would go to the river. And it was said that when Karna would do his morning ritual, if anyone asked for charity, he would give them whatever they want. Karna is a very interesting character. He has very good traits. He has some bad ones too. So who came to him? His mother, his real mother, that he doesn't even know. Kunti comes to him and reveals to him, "You're not the son of Adirath and Radha. You are my son. Your father is the sun god." And a voice came and said, "Yes, this is all true." And what was Kunti saying? Kunti was saying, "Why don't you join your brothers?" But Karna could not do it. And he was actually very mad at Kunti. Very angry for what she had done. Kunti tried, but Karna would not listen. As Karna said to Kunti, you will still have 5 sons, but not 6. Either I or Arjuna will not see the end of the war. Either I die or Arjuna. You'll still have 5 sons, but either me or Arjuna is not returning. So Kunti, her whole life was one of suffering. She lost her husband early. Then, when the Pandavas were exiled, she remained with the Vidura in Hastinapur. But for 13 years, she doesn't see her family. Kunti's life was one of lamentation. So, right after that, Krishna and his chariot driver, they meet up with Karna. So, I'm going to read to you and then comment. Before leaving, Krishna asked to speak privately with Karna. As he reached Hastinapur's southern gate around noon, he saw Karna waiting for him. Krishna stopped and asked Karna to mount his chariot with him. He took Karna out of the city, speaking as they rode in the direction of Virat. Krishna considered Karna the most serious threat to the Pandavas in the upcoming war. Karna's charioteer drove his car behind Krishna with Satyaki, who had dismounted from Krishna's chariot, in order to give him the privacy he desired with Karna. Placing his hands on Karna's shoulder. So just imagine, you are Karna. Let's try to imagine you're Karna. And you're alone on a chariot with Krishna. Just picture that. I know you can picture that. You're alone on the chariot it's just you and Krishna. Well, what would you say? What would you say to Krishna if it was just you and him on the chariot? Very interesting. Think about what would I say? Krishna said, according to scripture, the child born of a mother before her marriage becomes her husband's son. You, Karna, were born before your mother's marriage. You are therefore Pandu's son. The Pandavas are on your father's side, and the Vrishnis on your mother's. You are thus related to both these races, O best of men. After all, Kunti is Krishna's aunt. So, Karna has some connection with Krishna, as he's pointing out. O hero, now listen to this. This is why I love Krishna. Where I come from, especially how I grew up, there's a certain word, what's called slang word. So when I read things like this, it reminds me, Krishna is cool. No, Krishna is not cool. He's ice cold. He's the coolest. Just look what he's saying to Karna. So much has happened, right? They are just about to start the war. Come with me and become the king. The Pandavas will worship you as their elder brother, and as I will. Okay, let me read that again. So Krishna is offering Karna, come with me and become the king. The Pandavas will worship you as their elder brother, as I will. Because throughout the Mahäbhärata, Krishna acts very, very nicely with the Pandavas. Krishna bows to Yudhishthira, accepting him as the king, as the monarch. Another facet of Krishna's coolness. Here's God, the supreme being, and he's considering himself subservient to the king. This is my kind of God. He's cool. He's not hung up. I'm God. No. In the same way with Bhagavad Gita, the way Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita, he deals with you with intelligence. He doesn't yell and scream and demand. No, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is appealing to your intelligence. Krishna speaks to you with respect and dignity. Come with me and be the king. You will be anointed by the wives and daughters of kings with water from golden pots. Now here's the one that if I was Karna, would have cinched the deal. Listen to this. At the proper time, Draupadi will approach you as a wife does her husband. Can you believe that?
No,
You can't believe that?
I cannot.
What, you think Krishna's lying?
No, I don't think he's lying.
So what? Wow. Krishna is offering Karna the lottery. You got it. You'll be the king of all the Pandavas. I will worship you. Krishna is saying, I will worship you. And in due course, Draupadi will come and approach you like a wife. Your 5 brothers will follow behind you, even as the demigods follow Indra, because Indra is the king of all the demigods. They all follow Indra. I too shall follow you, accompanied by the Andakas and the Vrishnis. O Karna, rule over this earth. Let the bards and chanters sing your praises. Delight Kunti's heart and take your rightful place at the head of her sons. I don't know about you, but if I was Karna, I would have taken that deal in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Now we're going to see why the lecture is entitled, why that whole idea, abandon all varieties. Here it comes. So Krishna has made his offer. Just like you business people, when you're doing business with someone, you make them, like we say in the Italians, make him an offer he can't refuse. To me, Krishna has just made an offer that Karna cannot refuse. Let's look. Karna looked into Krishna's smiling face. Surely, Krishna knew everything, just as the sages had always said. But it was difficult to accept his advice. Karna shook his head. So this point here, this is true for perhaps all of us. Sometimes in our life, it's difficult to accept the advice Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. I know that's been true for me through certain things in my life. The way our lives go, sometimes we see what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, we shake our heads and we go, that's too difficult. So Karna's in the same boat. Karna shook his head and said, "Undoubtedly, your words are meant for my good, O Keshava." Can everyone say that name? O Keshava. Very good. "I know that I am Pandu's son. Kunti has told me everything, but she abandoned me, and I was raised by Adira and his wife. They had loved me as parents, and have always seen me as their son. So too have I seen them as my parents. They performed all the necessary rituals in my life. After adopting me, they later had more children, to whom I became an elder brother. They even selected my wives, and I have conceived sons and daughters with those wives. I cannot break those relationships, even to gain both heaven and earth. Nor, O Madhava, shall I break them out of fear." So, Karna is offering Krishna what he thinks is a superior moral. Karna thinks that what his reply to Krishna is more righteous, more religious. And this is why I say, here's how you understand. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, even if you think you are righteous and religious, not if it means that you don't surrender to Krishna. Krishna is giving Karna an opportunity to surrender. He has given him such an opportunity, golden opportunity. But Karna is allowing his so-called religion to get in the way of surrendering to Krishna. Karna felt righteous. Following Krishna's advice would mean transgressing proper behavior. He gazed ahead at the rolling countryside as he continued. So here's, again, the same point. Karna thinks to do what Krishna says is not proper. But if you accept who Krishna is, then you don't have to worry. Because the verse that we read, right? I will deliver you from all sinful reaction. So even if Karna is thinking that surrendering to Krishna is sinful, but Krishna is saying, don't worry, I'll pick up the tab. So Karna thinks he's more religious than Krishna. So Karna now is gazing at the countryside. Karna says to Krishna, for 13 years I have enjoyed sovereignty only due to whose favor? Duryodhana. I owe him much indeed. Depending on me, he has formed an enmity with the Pandavas. I have been chosen to face Arjuna in combat. If I back down now, then I will become infamous. O Keshava, I cannot let myself be labeled a coward, nor can I prove myself disloyal to Duryodhana. If I were given the world to rule, I would immediately give it to Duryodhana. How could I live with the Pandavas after all that Duryodhana has done for me? Now, if Krishna was not God, then I would probably agree with Karna. Because what Karna is saying, It has some merit. If Krishna is not God. But since Krishna is God, then Karna's so-called morality is a mistake. In other words, this surrender and this immunity from sinful reaction can only be given by God Himself. So it's key. The key to understanding Bhagavad Gita, the key to understanding the Mahäbhärata, is to be firmly convinced that Krishna is the supreme God of all gods. If that's lacking, then there's going to be confusion, doubt, worry. But if you become convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt, yes, Krishna is God, then everything goes through. Earlier to this, there was a discussion between Dhritarashtra and his secretary Sanjay. And Dhritarashtra heard from Sanjay different things. Sanjay also told Dhritarashtra, you're making a mistake, you're going to lose, and your entire 100 sons are going to be annihilated. Sanjaya cared about Dhritarashtra. Even though he was a Shudra, Dhritarashtra had much respect for Sanjaya. Sanjaya was sent to Virat to hear from the Pandavas what was going to be their plans. So before Sanjaya gave his report, before he said, this is what Yudhishthira said, this is what Krishna, Sanjaya said, never mind. Dhritarashtra, don't fight. Don't do this. You're going to lose. Your whole dynasty is going to be wiped out. So, different things transpired. Dhritarashtra, Sanjaya, Vyasa, different people, they were speaking long into the night. At one point, Dhritarashtra says to Sanjaya, how come you have full faith in Krishna and I don't?
Good question.
It's a good, very good question. Because I met people like this. I've met people like this. They don't have complete faith in Krishna. So the answer wasn't given by Sanjaya. A great rishi was summoned and he appeared on the spot. Zoom. And that rishi spoke, said, yes. If you're not sense-controlled, you cannot understand Krishna. If you are sinful, you cannot understand Krishna. If you're not austere. He gave all these different reasons which prevents one from understanding that Krishna is God. Let's continue. Karna reflected on his feelings toward the Pandavas. Now this is interesting. Karna respected Yudhishthira, Bhima, and even the twins. Who were the twins? Nakul and Sahadev. So he respected. His hatred for Arjuna owed its origins to the day when Karna had been refused entry into Drona's school. When Karna came again to Hastinapur to compete in the exhibition, Drona had not recognized him as the boy he had turned away years earlier. Drona told him back then that he only accepted royal princes in his school. Karna was raised by Adirat, who was Sudras, a chariot driver. maker. Because Prabhupada says something about a carpenter's son. So he must have also made chariots. At least that's how Prabhupada says carpenter's son. Karna was a charioteer's son. Burning with shame, he had gone away, vowing vengeance. Defeating Drona's best student. Who was his best student? Arjuna. Would be the best way to exact that revenge. So that's interesting. It's not really Arjuna that he hates. It's Drona. It's amazing. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, but he's going to kill Arjuna. You know, what did Arjuna do to him? As soon as he had seen Arjuna in the arena, his heart filled with envy. Envy. Big sin. So you could say that was Karna's one of his big faults. Envy. Enviousness. That envy had never waned. Soon it would explode in a fight to death. There was no other course for him now. So now Karna finishes up. O Krishna. Now this is also amazing. This is also, O Krishna, I do not hold much hope for our victory, but I shall not change sides now. I know, here's another great point. I know Yudhishthira is virtuous and pure-minded. He will preside over the coming battle sacrifice. In other words, Karna is comparing the war to like a fire sacrifice. Swaha, 1,000 people dead. Swaha, another 1,000. Swaha, right? How you throw grains into the fire? Millions of people were killed in that Mahäbhärata war. Millions. He will preside over the coming battle sacrifice, in which Dhritarashtra's sons will be the sacrificial animals. So Karna knows. The Pandavas are pious men who deserve to rule the earth. The harsh words I spoke to them and their wife previously were only for Duryodhana's pleasure. Yes, Karna said something very, very insulting to Draupadi when Dushashan was trying to disrobe her, and they were claiming Draupadi as their slave. Remembering them now, I am filled with remorse. So that's a good quality of Karna. He can understand how he behaved was wrong. That's good quality. Still, I will fight Arjuna. That is my duty as a moral man and a kshatriya. So again, Karna is saying, this is moral for me. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, give up your morality. Surrender to me. It is likely that I will die because I do not see the Kauravas winning. This dispute will end when Arjuna kills me and Bhima kills Duryodhana. Because when Draupadi was being disrobed, that rascal Duryodhana